everybody.
Hello.
Oh, he did fix it. Yay. It's Minute to Skim It here on The Experience. And back for her, what do we call this? The swan song? Re-debut. Final flash. I feel like we should come up with a really fun way to call it. The last banana.
It's banana.
The final banana. Sounds good. Show. Hannah was my co-host for I don't know how many years, so many years. And then because of pandemic, she had to go be in the background because we couldn't be out front and doing it with masks down. So this is it. This is the last time you get to see the banana doing the review. We're going crazy. All nuts today. So enjoy it because she has good reviews. All right. Hey, Joe's on with us today. Because there was such a massive amount of books that came in, we didn't get to go back and read until a little bit later. So we're not reviewing every single thing that came out this week, which is a lot. Plus, there is at least 8 second prints that are out today.
Yeah.
Which will give you a chance to catch up on all those things that you missed out on because all of them are super hot books that completely sold out when they were released. So,
except Batgirl, they haven't done they haven't done second printings of that. So
I don't know why.
I'm so sad because I'm like, well, now I know what happens, but.
Now let's poll our viewers. Are there books out there that they have never done second prints on that you wish that they would? Like if I were to talk to publishers and say, what everybody wants is a second print of blah, or even a third print or a fourth print or whatever. Just don't say Stray Dogs because we can't get them to do that. They said final prints for those. Your wallet will not be pleased this week. No, it will not. It is true. So this show is a spoiler-free review. So we're going to tell you what our opinions about books. We're going to get you the basic storyline and get you some good plot points. But we're not going to give you the big spoiler. There are lots of things to spoil this week. There are lots and lots of first appearances.
Yeah.
So I'll point them out if I know there are first appearances in something, but I want you to know what they are. Because that's being like, why read the book then?
Right.
So I would never do that. And it also gives you a head up so you can talk to your local comic shop and just call them up right after the show and say, oh my gosh, Miss Jen and Hannah said we wanted to get this book. Put it on my list, please, if possible. And if you don't have a local comic shop, you can always use comicshoplocator.com, which is an easy tool to use because it really just put in zip code for wherever you are and it'll give you all the choices for your area.
Yep.
And like I've been saying since pandemic started, do call the store to make sure that the hours that are on that site are accurate because we've changed our hours so many times that it's easy to be wrong. So.
Right.
All right. So I just want to make sure everybody is in the know about We Live. So the first series from Aftershock, I think the number 1 for the original series went through to a 4th or a 5th printing.
I think so.
I
think it was 5th.
I think right. I think 5th printing. And this is the follow-up series. So it ties directly to that universe. And I want you to be sure to know that when you go in and you see We Live the Last Palladians, or Age of the Palladians, sorry, that you don't look at the white cover and the black cover and think they're just variants of each other. They're actually separate books.
Yep.
So don't make that mistake. You'll need both if you like the universe. So the original We Live series was about a brother-sister duo that found themselves at kind of like the end of apocalypse kind of scenario for themselves, which they have to create this kind of like they're not really robots and they're kind of maybe like mech suit, but small mech suit, so that they can fight against these really weird dimensional creatures that have started to pop through. And the brother's the younger of the two, and the original series is more about her protecting him, but this one is them grown up now. And they're really kind of a team themselves now, all meched up. And so it's from 2 different point of views here for them. This one's the white version for you. and it's talking about they have a big dome over their city that is shrinking in a specific rate, which I don't know why it would shrink with specific rate. Oh, maybe no. Hold on. Nope, that's right. I've read a lot of books that have mechs in them this week, so I'm just like, uh-oh. Okay, so.
Well, and you said dome, and I immediately thought of crossover.
There's lots of domes in all these books this last month. So they're actually specifically separate stories. So there's the two different cover versions, but they all tie to the exact same universe. So, and the art is beautiful, and they've done a lot of work to have super awesome cover stock for you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you might be on the lookout for, and the other aspects about the book that are so cool is that pay attention on the very first page. It has this, like, I think it's a QR code, or at least information on how to find the music that's tied into this book. And then it actually has on the pages where you're supposed to start the music for that section of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And both books are different. So they have different sets of music to hunt for. Mm-hmm. And in the books, they actually mention that as part of what's happened in their society is that, like they've kind of like had to commercialize these mech people. And that they even mentioned that, they even have trading cards. How ridiculous is that? And see, so there's actual trading cards that they've sent. So it's a fully immersive comic book series, honestly.
And the music is fantastic from the first series. So I'm
they
I'm
did
excited.
That for the first series too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had the QR codes.
Those, so.
Yeah, I know. You stole it from me this time. I didn't have time enough to read them anyway.
I just wanted to know what was going on, because I was like, everyone says this is an amazing series, but I don't ever get to read it, so I'm in. Mm-hmm. So we got some comments here. Ken says Aftershock's been doing some good series. What's your favorite one? Oh, and then mentions Bunny Mask. Yep, you're going to get Bunny Mask 2, a second series there. Right now you have a second series of The Maniac of New York. Mm-hmm. Bronx is Burning. And also, I found out from Comics Pro, they actually mentioned specifically that there are lots more boroughs, and they have plans for all of them. So you're gonna have a lot more of the Maniac of New York stuff. So, and Bylines and Blood, Nuclear Family, Maniac. There's a lot of great series out there. I actually really liked the Mother F Goose. That was just a single shot from there. It was amazing. All right. Your turn.
All right. Well, I'm gonna do Batgirl number 4, and the only cover we had left was the B cover. So, but I probably didn't.
So pretty.
I probably didn't order enough though, because there is a first appearance at the very last page of this book.
Isn't that the way?
Mm-hmm. And I have not been reading, but basically, you can just jump in. You could,
and you did.
Yeah. I was only a little bit lost with some of the. I mean, the first half of the book is really just kind of setting up what's happening now. Mm-hmm. But after everything else that's happened, that I don't want to say in case anybody hasn't caught up yet. But it also,
this week it might be true, Ken. I have a list that I look at, and I know that it's that one, and Batman, the Urban, also has the first appearance.
I knew that one had a first appearance, but I hadn't been reading that one either. But I was not expecting the way that the narrator is outside of the story.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so as you're reading the narration parts, you kind of get a little look into the characters' heads, but
not from their
point of view. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I'm definitely gonna pick up the trade whenever that one's.
So the cover of this B cover, is that a hint? Is that Are those just regular characters for the series?
Yeah, that's just
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so no hint on this. There's no spoiler covers then.
Mm-mm.
And then Ken's making the comment, the art style in the Batgirl isn't really for him. I get it.
Yeah, it was not what I was expecting, but I kind of like it as like it fits the story really well, and it's different than most of the other DC art that we see.
So it stands out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there have been a couple of series that have come out that the art style itself wasn't my normal thing, but after a while I got more used to it. Like Trad Moore's art, I have a hard time because it's so different from what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
But then,
I mean,
pretty cool.
I grew up with Archies,
and
so going from Archie, where like way back when every Archie artist had to be pretty much this, like they had to follow a pretty strict.
Couldn't tell the difference between them.
I mean, you could tell, but not like, because they also never put names with it before.
Right.
So you knew that it was somebody else, but you didn't know who until and then you could jump to anything else, and it's like completely their own. Like exactly which storyline is.
Oh yeah.
Because the art is. Yeah.
I think the difference is like you can always tell a Dan Parent one. This is very distinctive.
Yes. And Jeff Schultz's is pretty distinct as well.
Any Archie fans out there? New, older?
Oh, I forgot. I could have read that one today too.
Okay, I'm done. Okay, so following the probable first appearance stuff, the Spider-Gwen verse. This is actually a variant cover, so I apologize. I just happened to pick one up.
Yeah.
She's crossing her legs so demurely. She's doing the proper British cross, but you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to do it with your ankles if you're a proper queen or royalty or whatever. But anyway, in this one, she does fulfill her same role of Spider-Gwen, but also there are some I'm gonna say universe hops because it's what it looks like to me. That it's a portal hop or a universe hop. And then it appears to have a brand new character. If this character has existed before, I have never seen them. So it's somebody that's unfamiliar to me. And there are other characters in the Marvel Universe that you're used to seeing that are crossover universe people. So you'll enjoy this one. I would mostly get it because I kind of feel like this extra character that shows up is cool enough to stick around beyond this mini series. You know how when they had the first Spider-Verse series and you had, like, I think number 1 had what ended up being the Penny Parker, the Spider cover. That one ended up being the Penny Parker and Spider that you saw in the Into the Spider-Verse movie. And then you get, her first appearance, and that becomes a big deal. And then I feel like there was at least one more where that first appearance. There were some things that were presented in the Spider-Verse universe books that never hit. But of the ones that were there that were obviously cool, like Spider-Man Noir and that kind of stuff, they are cool.
You have to keep going.
Oh, that's right, because I got I got the bulk of them today.
Yeah.
Ken says kind of like if old Hex series Texiera to Giffen, total change of style. Yep, it does. And it's okay unless it's super abrupt, right? If it's a new series, like they're doing a number 1 and it starts from there, it's easy enough because you know that they're doing it. But if you're in the middle of a storyline and all of a sudden the art changes, that would be kind of weird. Although I've seen it used to great effect in books where they jump from artist to artist within the book, but that tells you what point of view or timeline or character.
DC does it pretty frequently, and it's almost always like done in such a way that like you can tell that it's a different artist. but like you don't, it doesn't click until it like after you've finished reading the book, and you're like, that makes sense now.
They do smart things. I think honestly changing in the art style, or at least the artist or art style, is a fine way to show time shift or dimensional shift.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier than saying, meanwhile, in Earth 612 or whatever. I like it better. All right, trigger warnings. This is a trigger warning. Red Room, new series by Ed Piskor. This is actually a self-contained book, even though it's a #1, and I think it's an ongoing series. This is the most unique layout for a disgusting book I've ever seen. So it really is about, it continues on from where the last series did, in that it has, in the center, it's 3 panels that run the entire length of the book. So every time you turn a page, the middle story is one continuous story. The top is one continuous story. The bottom is a continuous story. So, yeah, of course, yeah. So, so this middle story deals with the parts of the original series where it is people in a chat watching the snuff film. So the snuff film's going on, but the chat is them saying, just like them making posts, just like if you're making chat right now, that they'd be like, oh, I bet you this is happening or whatever. So they're talking about all kinds of random stuff in the chat. So that is, there's a full story, and that one is the Rat Queen storyline that you see the cover of right here. You'll understand this bunch of heads tied together when you get there. And then there's another whole story on the bottom, another whole story on the top. This is not a book you're going to leave around for your kids to ever find. As a matter of fact, I highly recommend reading it, then burning it, or, shredding it, or put it somewhere that no one can ever find it in a lockbox. Because it's totally not for someone to accidentally find. Or if you don't have any kids at your house, it's fine. But it really will, kind of like it's a study in human depravity. We'll just say that. Try to check it out, but it's not for you. Yeah, I totally get it. And you're triggered by the layout. Oh, no. I'm so sorry that you're triggered by the layout, but I totally get it, because it is like, I only read the middle one because I didn't have time to go back, turn all the way to the front of the book, and I didn't believe that I would remember. Like, if I was reading it page to page straight down, I didn't know that I would remember what the storyline was going through. So it's kind of like choose your own adventure. Choose the part of this book you want to read.
All right. So I'd started the first Naomi series. When was that? That was a few years ago. I haven't watched her series. I know I need to. Mm-hmm.
She looks exactly like the
comic book
person. It's
I know.
uncanny.
There's a couple ads for the show in the DC books right now. So, and I was like, oh, am I gonna know anything? They catch you up.
Probably are sure that people that are watching this show, that just started with this show, are going to be like, oh, where's the source material?
And knowing how popular the first series was, it might be a little bit hard to find, not in trades, but okay, so in the first series, in the first issue, we meet Naomi, and we meet her friend Dee, who is over here, and her parents you see over here in the corner, and then this is her best friend. And in the first series, she finds out she has powers, right? And that Dee isn't necessarily who everybody else and who she thinks that he is. And then Superman finds her and is like, you have powers. Our powers are pretty similar. I mean, certain ones. And so then she joins the Justice League. And so now this is after all of that has happened, and how she is learning how to be a hero and how to control her powers, essentially. That's what she wants to be part of the Justice League. And I mean, she's really young. She's still a kid. I mean, she's almost finished with high school. And, you know, learning how to use your powers on your own is hard. But I can't wait to read more of this, because I'm definitely going to be reading that.
It's interesting how both the DC universe and the Marvel universe, at least fairly recently, has been tackling this idea about at what age does someone with super abilities, should they be allowed to kind of like make adult enough decisions to be out there fighting crime?
Right.
Because a teenager would make different decisions about how gung-ho to go into a fight and what kind of like, you know, fallout there would be. Not that adults make perfect decisions in this way, but they do have a little more wisdom in this regard. So I feel like that's kind of like what that's addressing, right? When she's kind of thinking about, I want to join a big
then
superhero
of course,
team.
You know, when you have superpowers, you find out that your parents have kept this secret of how, you know, you were found on Earth versus, you know, Superman's parents. You know, they told him. She was not told. And so she, in this issue, is having to try to work through that. And yes, she goes to therapy.
Smart.
Yes. I think that should be, you know, more superheroes need to go to therapy.
Well, they addressed that in the...
Yes.
What was the series that they
Heroes
did?
in Crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it because it wasn't something they had talked about before.
Right. But we also know how that turned out.
There was a big body count in that book.
Yes.
We'll just say they at least made it. But it broaches of subject.
Right.
Like even superheroes need some couch time.
Exactly.
We'll say. Look at Kyle already knows what I've got in my hand. Kill lock. Okay, so and I misspelled Wraith, so I apologize. It's not Artisan Wrath, it is Artisan Wraith, and that's on me because I typed that part in. So this is a follow-up series. The original series was just called Kill Lock. And the whole book, writing it all is done by and he's fast. Is by Livio Ramondelli. So, and it's a really kind of a crazy concept for this book. Okay, so in the first book, there are these, I'm just going to call them pure mechs because I think they are, I don't know if there's anything biological about them. And some of them have not been good, right? There's some of them that are criminals. And the way that they, what their punishment is that if they did crime, then they got put together in a group of 4 in what's called a kill lock. So they have to stay together, and if they, if they try to get away from each other, they all die. So they have like this, like, I think a lock, I think there's the literal like a chip lock in them that will explode them if they leave each other's company.
So like if they get too far away from.
Sure. And I don't know what their thought process is in here, because if you put a bunch of criminals together, don't you end up with like a big criminal mass that can just now do more crazy stuff? And in the original 4 that they had is that they had an artisan, they had like a warrior, they had, oh gosh, I'm not gonna remember the 4 kinds. There were 4 different, very different types of these mechanical beings. And in the first series, it appears that they have beat their kill lock, or at least the very beginning of this one, it looks like one of them still trying to work through their last bit of kill lock problems. Okay. Mm-hmm. And there's an overarching storyline that started this, in which one of them, which was the artisan, who's the super smart ones, took over the body of a Wraith one, which is like a super powerful thing, and has made this new being that is ultra smart and can't be defeated, like physically. So, and now they've become kind of like I don't know how to explain this, like maybe the doom of this universe, where they've now taken over completely an area. And then it's the story of these other ones kind of working within that new paradigm. So it's really, really cool. It's a crazy, neat concept because it feels very human. Even though they're all mech kind of creatures, it feels like they're just trying to make a statement about how we would behave in such situations. So
yeah,
I highly recommend it, both it and the original series. And that is an IDW property. I will. Because
yes.
Okay, so Spawn 327's got some heat online, and I was trying to figure out exactly why, and I think I know for sure the reason, because it was teased before. Okay, so Spawn has been really hot again since it started approaching its number 300, and it's way past it now, clearly. This is 327. Yeah. But I would say at about 280 something when they started having who's the other artist. They always had the second artist that was really popular for a while. Start with an M. Matina. They had all those really beautiful Matina covers. So
I remember his first name.
So people started collecting them, and now everybody was really into it. So they started doing some really big story maneuvers, and that's true still now. For people who are unfamiliar with the beginning of Spawn's story. In the beginning of him as a character of Spawn, I'm not going to go into the origin story for Al Simmons because that's long, but he had what was essentially a countdown clock that would be at the very beginning, maybe the beginning and end of every book. And that was the amount of allotted power that he was given by Malvosia, who's kind of the devil character in this universe, to do Malvosia's bidding. And when it ran out, then his soul was just forfeit because it was basically he was selling his soul to protect his wife. Is the way it really works. So they have not mentioned the countdown clock in a really long time, and so I assumed that he had used all of it or enough of it that it was completely useless. And the reason why you want this book is because the countdown clock is back. And it's up to you to find out why. But it's a really great read. So funny they got the clown so prominently on this cover when I don't remember the clown being in this issue. But anyway, maybe.
Do you want more?
I don't know anything. And this is definitely first appearance. Now we can argue about this all day long if you guys want to. Captain Carter first appearance is in this book. This is not the first time you see Sharon Carter dressed up as Captain Britain, because you saw that in
I remember it. I think it was in like 2015 or something.
Yeah. It's an E-named book it's a number 3. But anyway.
I can't remember, but I remember.
So you've actually seen her dressed up in this costume before. And that book itself was inspired by the video game that had her as a playable character. But it wasn't. This character was not named Captain Carter. So now they're saying that this is the first appearance of Captain Carter, and it certainly is the first appearance of Captain Carter in her costume in her own book on the front cover. So, it reads kind of like a what if. Instead of having Steve Rogers being the one that saved everyone and ended up in the airplane in the ice, it was Sharon instead. Peggy instead. I said Sharon. It's Peggy instead in the ice. And so this starts out pretty much where Captain America starts out as a story where they've found the plane in the ice and have pulled it out. And then everyone needs to because the plane is found in Russian territory. Then the first argument becomes, is her and her super serum body Russian claim because it was salvaged there by them? Or is it British because she's a British subject? Or is it American because she was working for the Americans when she went into the ice? So that's the first thing they have to figure out. And I'm going to tell you something specific, is that Peggy is going to do what she wants. So,
Well, yeah.
It doesn't matter what they decide. Oops, I have another book hidden behind that one. That's awesome. Or you do want to break up the monotony of me talking?
All right. So, The Trial of the Amazons is a 7-part crossover event, but The Trial of the Amazons #1 is one of 2 issues. So this is part 1 of the overarching, and then there's, I think it's in Nubia that comes out this week as well, is part 2.
Okay.
It has the map in the back, and it also has a bunch of other cool information that I didn't get a chance to read because I was, pressed for time. But you'll also get, there's one more that hasn't come out yet for the tattoos, but little temporary tattoos.
Cute.
That have the little
symbols.
And then this one. Yeah.
Nice.
Because, and okay, so as the Wonder Woman and the all of the Amazon tribes we've seen recently with Yara, Floor, and Nubia, and I think there's a couple of other ones. I think there's one more, but I can't remember the name of them. But so Yara is over here on the cover. And she's also over here. But
Yara has 2 appearances.
Yeah. So there are these, there are some portals that you can get to them. What's the name of the island? I can never pronounce it.
Themyscira?
Yes, that. And so, the Amazons use those portals from the different tribes to get to the island. And most of this one actually takes place in the arena on Themyscira.
Okay.
And so, trying to figure out what I can say that's not.
Well, pitch it to them why there's a trial. What's going on?
So, okay. Essentially, they're trying to figure out who is going to be, like, full-on leader of the Amazons.
Okay.
In the specific role of, like, battle, essentially. That's
so like the general.
No, but yes, but no.
I don't think there's a real differentiation in our
mean,
society. I think it's the same thing. The leader and the
kind
general are the same person.
Yes and no, because sometimes that's true, and other times it's not true. Like in the Wonder Woman movie, and in a lot of like the young Diana, she had her mother being the queen of the Amazons, and then oh gosh, I just had her name and it flew out of my head. And then there was another general who was in charge of training and everything, and we saw that in the movie as well. Yeah. A lot of the other tribes have that, but not all of them do. And so you get to see the tribes and how they interact, and like, because yes, they're all Amazons, but no, they don't always get along. And we've seen that before, but we haven't seen how the different tribes interact with each other. And I'm a huge Wonder Woman fan, so this one,
I feel like it's got to be like Wakanda, right? When there's an outside.
I mean, yes, but also like, because they're not just superheroes. They're, demigods, right?
think so.
Kind of.
Diana is, because she's part actual god.
And some of the others are also like they're given powers. Some of them are given extra powers by the gods, I think.
Makes sense to me.
I mean,
because the way that they are.
Hi, is this the no, sorry.
the
Space Cadets.
there is a I don't want to say minor character death, but she's not like one of the main characters either. There is a pretty important character death in this issue. So, but it's so good. It's probably my favorite one for the week. But it was hard to choose because I love all of these. And on International Women's Day, like.
And Joe points out the other characters are Donna Troy, Artemis, Cassandra.
That's true. That is true. There's a lot of retcons especially with the Amazons, which makes it hard.
Yeah. And also he points out that it's weird to explain due to all the retcons of the characters.
Yeah,
like
that's
some
what
of them.
I just said.
Some of them. Oh, did you? Sorry.
Yeah. It's okay.
Thinking and talking at the same time. Not my.
So,
what am I gonna do? No, I should keep on with Marvel. Let's keep with Marvel. It's Marvel
right, that's
versus
what
Disney.
I was pointing at. Marvel and Spider-Man, because you didn't do Spider-Man yet either.
Mm-hmm. Like you're pointing at little monsters.
No.
All right, Punisher. Everyone's been waiting on this series because so this is not the cover that has the new costume logo on it, but there's been some divided reactions to the new logo. But just anytime you change anything about a character that people like, people are going to have a little bit of fuss. It's hard to change
and
for things.
He's like such a like the logo is so widely used.
But also, I think it's a wise move for
I
them
agree.
because the symbol that he wears has been co-opted by other organizations.
Right.
So best way to deal with that instead of suing everyone to death is to just be like, okay,
right,
fine,
exactly.
I'm going to use a different one.
Yeah.
So this one it's so cool because
isn't this where he's like a samurai now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So so he is actually, and everyone's seen this on the internet. It's not really a spoiler because it's kind of the pitch
right,
of the
and
book,
it's on
right?
it's on some of the variant covers as well.
So he is the leader of the Hand, but this is the story of how that happens.
Okay.
And once you read the entire book, you'll be like, I totally get it, and I am okay with this.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, when you're thinking about it, like the Hand is kind of like a part samurai, part mystical magic organization. They're responsible for reanimating the dead body of Bruce Banner into the Immortal Hulk. That happened, many years ago, way before they actually had the first appearance of the Immortal Hulk. But I'll stop talking about that now. But anyway,
you're just a little bit bitter about that.
So bitter. This is the same Hand. So Punisher, I highly recommend. It's Jason Aaron writing, so how could it possibly be wrong? And it does show you a new view of the thing that made him the Punisher. So the whole storyline where his family all gets killed. This is from a totally different point of view. It's not going to feel like, oh great, another Batman retelling where the pearls are broken. You're not going to feel that way about this at all, because almost all of the other ways I've seen it told are pretty much from the same point of view. This is mind-blowingly different, and I didn't mind the new Punisher logo before I knew what it was about.
Well, and as soon as I knew that he was going to be a samurai, I was like, no, it definitely makes sense to redesign it so it's more samurai-esque.
This is the most shade I've ever seen Miss Jen throw. We haven't talked about, we haven't even mentioned the unholy name of Scott Summers. So
yeah.
And I'll do Amazing Spider-Man. So
I've known you for many years, so I have.
yeah, you know all my trigger,
Yeah.
my trigger warnings. So Amazing Spider-Man is the continuation of this awesome Beyond
Bay,
Incorporated.
but not Beyonce.
Yeah, Bay, not Beyonce. Love that. And this one, it's kind of cool because this cover actually is true. You know, when sometimes they have a cover and you're like, that has nothing to do with the book. What in the world is going on? This is everything to do with what's going on in this book.
All right.
So this is the continuing of Ben Reilly wanting to go and find his original memory, which Beyond stole from him. He didn't find out until recently that this is true. And he has the help of Misty Knight and actually, I'm not 100% certain she's in there. But his girlfriend figures in importantly, and so does this, which may or may not be Kurt Connors as the Lizard. Big time stuff. What? Oh, Lord. Can we just show him being eviscerated in many different ways? It's really cool. I can be down with that. And you've done all yours, right?
Yeah.
So I can do all of my goodies. You win.
Yep.
Okay. This is such unique. Like there's kind of a theme between like if you like the gritty, like seeing people get hurt of the Red Room series, Hit Me is probably for you. So this is another AWA Upshot book, and it is specifically about this main character girl who her shtick is that she, for money, will allow people to beat her. And it's weird. She makes this whole long discussion about how different things cost different money. It's like whether you want to leave actual bruising, if it's where clothes cover up or will be seen. There's a lot of weird rules she's got, but it's just about her, and she has essentially it's a bodyguard who kind of like watches what's going on in the room remotely, and if something gets out of control, because they're not allowed. Like I think they pay per hit, and if they hit more than they're allowed to or in a different way, then he comes in and he lets them have it. So they pay the price to get it as bad as whatever they're given to her. Mm-hmm. So it's a really weird relationship. She knows that her quote unquote bodyguard really likes her, so she uses that for her advantage. And in this one, I mean, that's just kind of like the basic storyline of what's going on here, but there's a huge big twist that happens to her when she goes to one of her clients. There's something else going on in the room when she arrives. So this is a very dark and gritty book, not for kids, obviously. Don't leave it around for them to accidentally read, because just like the first Deadpool movie, they will learn too many things that you don't want them to know. Or maybe you do want them to know. You can have the birds and bees talk real early.
Little monsters.
Little monsters! It's definitely a masochistic book. Just as much as the Red Room is. Okay. This one is so cool. This is Little Monsters, and it's by Jeff Lemire. So even if Hannah said she wanted to read it, I'd be like, let's fight.
Or we could have both read it.
We could have both read it.
Because I do love Jeff Lemire too.
Mm-hmm.
Lemire.
I don't know. We'll both guess. I'll talk to him sometime, and he'll tell me what it is, and then I'll immediately forget. Because I like saying it the way I always say it. So Little Monsters is such a great book. I'm actually not going to tell you what the twist is, although if you look at the front of the book very carefully, you could probably figure it out. But it's about these kids that appear to be by themselves completely in like a shambles of a city. So like the book totally opens with introducing all the characters by just kind of like showing them kind of like digging through the rubble for things. Like the very first thing is they like move some object, and underneath it is like a very beat up Sharpie marker, right? So all the stuff they've found is like very basic random objects and then it's them making plans to, play tag or to go play Warriors in the abandoned stadium and that kind of stuff. So the most of the book is really purely about that, about their relationships with each other. You can guess from the interplay who's kind of like the kids are kind of in control, or what their personalities are like. And that's, I love it when you get down to the personality first of what's going on here.
Yeah, I love that.
And so there is a big twist. Also, a big hint is if you want to look at the back of the book, it has a quote, and it'll make it very evident right away what the thing is that's going on in the book. I'm totally hooked to it, and it has that beautiful color wash. Like, he has a lot of like primary colors in the art that are in the books, so don't miss that. Also, I just want to give a shout out to my friend Brendan Deneen, who probably know from his role as a publisher, or I think he has another role at the company for Scout, mostly in the entertainment part of it, but also as a creator, and got to fulfill a lifelong dream of getting to work on the Big Two. And this is Green Arrow Stranded. This is part of the DC Kids line. Yeah. So this is going to be awesome. It really does look like him as a teenager.
I think
being stranded.
I think I read a preview of it on Lunar, or maybe it was in the DC Connect.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
I cannot wait.
And then Action Comics. It's interesting the way they've started to do graphic novels now. They've kind of like moved away a little bit from the, something volume 5, volume 6. They're now calling them just by their story arc, which is actually much more helpful.
It's so much more helpful.
And less intimidating for someone that wants to just jump in somewhere. Because trades are all really usually one story.
Right.
But if you see volume 4, even if the storyline sounds interesting, you're like, well, I got to get 1, 2, and 3 if I'm going to get into it. So just know, this is me saying, that for most trades, even from big series like Action Comics or from X-Men, they usually are an encapsulated story. So you don't have to freak out about jumping in on volume 5.
Yeah, because I skipped around on that because there were some weeks where I couldn't read Action Comics. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just pick it up at the next story arc and finish that one later. And the trades are great because then you can easily figure out, okay, this story arc, this is a character that I really want to read, but I don't necessarily want to read the one that comes right before it. You don't have to.
Exactly. All right, so this one that releases this week is called War World Rising. And it takes place right after the events of Dark Knight's death metal, when Superman's powers start to change. So you need to know what you missed. I threw some shade. I did. And this is another cool book that's coming out this week from Black Panel Press. It might not be on every local comic shop's wall. I just want to make you aware of it so they can order it for you if you are totally into historically based books like I am. This is called Conquest, Julius Caesar's Gallic War, and I can bet you can guess exactly what it's about. It is the a divided Gaul being conquered by Julius Caesar. So, I love learning history this way. It's a little easier than reading just regular dry accounts. You get pictures, kind of nice. You've been waiting for this for a little while. Be aware that there is the trade paperback for Lucky Devil coming out. This is the Cullen Bunn's written Dark Horse title. Remember, this is the guy he's a down and out guy. He gets possessed by a demon or devil, and he uses that to his own benefit.
This one I'm excited for.
And I think this was, it says, it's a Z2 comic, so it's then definitely interaction between comic book writers and people in the music industry is the way they roll.
Well, and this one's actually written by Mikey Way, who already has written for DC.
Yeah, so he doesn't need any help.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
So this is Electric Century by Mikey Way.
Yeah.
So this one's a new Z2 Comics, and this one says that it's that former sitcom star Johnny Ashford drives drunk through a storefront and gets tossed in jail. His aspiring actress girlfriend bails him out, and he begins seeing a hypnotherapist who sends him to his happy place, 1980s Atlantic City, where he relives his childhood on the boardwalk and the Electric Century Casino, hardly noticing shadowy specters all around. His addiction shifts from alcohol to his hypnotic trips to the boardwalk. Oh no. We've just given him a new addiction. And then also by Kate Snyder, Headland, which doesn't have a pitch on the outside. It says, following a stroke, 95-year-old Ruth wakes up in a cold, unfamiliar hospital. To escape her grim surroundings, she retreats into a wilderness within her mind. In this interior world, she befriends a tortoise who accompanies her on a journey into the unknown. As the days pass, Ruth's hold on the material world wanes as she moves deeper into her own landscape. These are the things that Eisners are made of. We're talking about people's changing of their headspace, getting into being older. Love them. This is a huge, gigantic, thick book called Hound. And it is a mythical Celtic hero, Celtic hero hangs up his blade for love and angers the war goddess who created him. So she instigates an invasion of his homeland, only he can halt with tragic consequences. And it just looks gorgeous to me, right? Looks goody. Okay. And is this all new to you? No.
No, this one's for somebody.
Good. I should go somewhere else then.
Let's see.
Yeah,
I didn't want to put it on top of things because it's the biggest one that we had.
Oh, here's the rest of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Marvel's been doing some really cool things by making these what I call scholastic size or digest size books. This one delves into Moon Knight. The cool thing about it is that it's appropriate for ages 10 and up, but this actually has source material that you might want if you're going to be into the Moon Knight storyline. Like this one has Moon Knight and Kang on it, so two important characters. This one reprints Werewolf by Night 32 and 33, Moon Knight 13, Moon Knight Annual 1, and Amazing Spider-Man 220. All the stuff that you need to get caught up for all the things that are in Moon Knight. And it's a steal of a deal from your local comic shop at just $10. Get one for yourself and then get one for a friend. And then also bebopping out is the Moon Knight Lemire complete collection. That's the one that everyone's hot for right now. So be on the lookout for that goodie. And then
the highly anticipated.
Yeah.
This is number 0.
This is number 0. And when we talk to the people that are in the know for manga, they name this one all the time. And it has a ridiculous name. So if you're reading it, tell us why it's awesome. But this is Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. So this one just looks super cute.
Hanako-kun.
Hanako-kun?
Hanako.
I'm going to just say it like a dummy because that's fine by me. So let me see. It says the origin of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun was originally published as a self-contained short series. And so you get to see this now all together.
Yeah.
Also, the case files of Jeweler Richard. Brand new manga. And cute kids book
this
out
one I'm
of
excited
Penguin Graphics.
Yeah.
Pause. Gabby gets it together. Says, meet best friends Gabby, Priya, and Mindy. They're different in just about every way. Personalities, hobbies, families, and more. But they have two important things in common. They absolutely love animals, and for reasons that are as varied as the girls themselves, none of them actually have pets. Unable to resist the adorable temptation any longer, they decide to come up with a way to finally get their hands on some furry friends. Pause. Super cute. Super cute. All right. So I am sorry to give you the news that there are so many more books that we did not get to review that when you get to your local comic shop, you're probably going to have your head explode for the amount of goodness that's on the rack. Pace yourselves. Bring yourself an extra water. Bring your sweatband. Bring comfortable shoes. And then, buy responsibly. Don't outbuy your whatever you need for rent or food. That would be a bad idea. Do you want to say anything special? This is you get to wrap it up after years and years of saying things. Any book advice for people? What have you learned about comic books since you started?
Oh man, a lot. So much. If you're not sure if you're gonna like something or not, try it. Just try it.
Oh yeah, that's
just
good advice. Because you've probably found from having been forced to read things you weren't necessarily wanting to for review.
Most of the time it's like, I really like this. Other times it's like, I'll read it and maybe it's a little bit too bloody or gory or scary for me, but it's still like the story other than that part is always so good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
yes, Joe. Also Visine. I forgot that. It's a bad oversight on my part. It's important. All right, Ray. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Minute to Skim It. If you don't mind at all, if you could put some hearts and thumbs up for Hannah, and some love. You can wish her love. Send her some well wishes if you've got her on DM. And we'll see you guys. I don't know who's going to be co-reading with me next week. It's going to be fun. We'll find out together. See you guys next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.